I also want to introduce Ben Hao, who is my fellow colleague, and then he will also join me for this talk to give more insights from like a research perspective. Yeah, so just a quick introduction about Starboard. We are a company that focuses on network analytics and product incubation, just to make like our life easier, right? So the network analytics part is mostly for help people make like informed decisions, and then help people to understand what's going on in this network, to see the data, to visualize the data, to spot trends, and then also to participate in like community governance discussions. And for product incubation, we want to make the experience for developers, for storage providers, in the Filecoin ecosystem a bit better. So we build marketplaces, we build like tools, we build like data APIs, so that you can just like take advantage of all these products that we have built, and then empower your business or operations. We have been in this ecosystem for more than 2.5 years now. So basically, we're here just like right after the mainnet has launched. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions about the ecosystem, feel free to reach out to us. We're always online on the Filecoin Slack channel, or you can also reach out to us by email. Yeah, so the main thing is about the economy, Filecoin's economy, right? So I will give a brief introduction of Filecoin's economy. My colleague Ben Hao will break down into the storage provider financials, what goes into a storage provider's financial statement, what counts as revenue, what counts as cost, and then also what are some of the strategies that we can use to maximize storage provider ROI. Yeah, so this is a classic picture of Filecoin's economic model, right? You can see that Filecoin is a island economy that exports useful work, which is storage, and also like lots of different type of data services. So all these service that's exported from this island economy will go to end users. End users will consume these services, committing additional money into the Filecoin island economy, and that's how the entire Filecoin economy gets circulated. So a couple of things that I want to point out is that Filecoin always wants to become, the like a blockchain of useful work, right? So meaning that all the work that has been done on the Filecoin network is useful and is providing value, right? So which means that if you're talking about value, supply and demand, right? Consumption of value is super important. And then we want to bring out this notion of like utility, because utility is ultimately what determines value, right? So in this red square, you can see that this is where the utility consumption and token demand happens. Is when the island economy actually interacts with the outside world and provide valuable services to all these end clients, right? So that's why like data onboarding, I think David talked about like the future for AI, right? That's something that's super important for Filecoin, and then for like a Web3 data economy in general. And then within the island economy, there's also utility supply and token circulation, right? So utility supplies means that all these storage providers, all the data service providers, they provide utility within this economy, right? And then that could also be like a supply chain, right? Because we are here as an entire ecosystem facing the outside world, trying to generate value, but also within we need to collaborate with other people within the ecosystem, such as like researchers, developers. They build tools for us. We as storage providers, we provide storage related goods and services for them, and then as a whole, we provide value and utility to the outside world. Yeah, so yeah, as I mentioned just now, I think storage provider is the center of this economy, and then that's why all of us are here. And after briefly discussing the token demand and token supply, utility demand, utility supply, then there comes the purpose of introducing the FIL token, right? So what does the FIL token do, right? It's a utility token. It's being used to pay for services, and then also it's being used to reward network participants. So we have also written a research article about Filecoin circulating supply. How is it being composed? What are some of the components? What are some of the factors that go into this circulating supply? And what are the factors that could affect the change of circulating supply? When will it inflate? When will it deflate? Right. So there are lots of discussions there. So I would recommend all of you to take a look at that. And we also introduce a simulator where you can just play around with it. So just to summarize, Filecoin is a utility-driven data economy that's powered by token economics, where storage providers are the center of data service provision. The FIL token is being used to pay for services and reward network participants. And also, understanding the crypto economics of Filecoin will help us understand SP economics. Right. So next, I want to bring up my colleague Ben Hao to talk more about SP financials and what are the key components of the Filecoin economy that could impact your storage provider business.
Thanks, Sylvan. So now I'm just going to give you a little breakdown of what are the main cost components that might affect you as a storage provider. So first of all, we have this, we can kind of divide your cost components into two. So the first component concerns on-chain things, right? Things that are calculated dynamically on-chain. And the other component consists of things that are off-chain, which includes things like your hardware costs, capex, and interest costs. So we start on the on-chain calculation, right? So let's say you are onboarding a sector onto the network. So before you do that, you have to supply something called the collateral, right? And this is kind of fixed. It's kind of held by the network until the end of the sector, and then it's released back to you at the end. After that, you will still need to commit this sector into the network. So you have to pay certain gas fees to kind of seal and to onboard this sector. So once you have done that, you have already met the requirements to start collecting block rewards. So over time, you will kind of reap the block rewards, but the network doesn't allow you to keep all the block rewards at once. So about 25% of the block reward is that you earn at one point in time is released to you, and then the rest is vested. So you may ask, right, why is it that the network is collecting so much, holding so much FIL for you? Well, the reason is just in case something happens to your sector. So you have to imagine that one of the main goals of the Filecoin network is to ensure robust, uninterrupted storage. So for example, if your sector goes offline for a certain period of time, then you incur some kind of penalties. And also if let's say your sector is terminated, the network also wishes to impose some kind of penalties on you. So these gas fees and penalties will be added in. And then once your sector reaches the end of the lifetime that you have agreed, the network returns you the collateral, all the block rewards go to you. You also get some fees that you may previously agree, let's say for retrieval purposes. And then these parts, gas fees and penalties, are basically kept by the network. So this is just like quick rundown of the main components into the financials. As I described earlier, these components are pretty complicated, right? Because you are continuously receiving block rewards, and it's kind of vested over periods of time. It can be non-trivial to calculate these out. So actually, Starboard has this like a ROI calculator to kind of help you to predict, what you should expect to get from, from onboarding data storage into the network. So you can go to this ROI calculator at sproi.starboard.ventures, and you will see there that there's a form, and you can fill in basically your predictions. For example, you can put in the trajectory of the network, how far ahead you want to predict, how much storage you have, how quickly you want to onboard the data. And also you can also add things like small business related things, such as how much money you're borrowing and what's the interest rate. So in the end, you will get something like this, which kind of lays out for you what are your investments, what are your costs, and what are your profits. So I guess most people are really interested to know how is it you can maximize your ROI, right? And to answer this question, you do have to understand what factors you can control and what factors you can't control, right? So maybe we start with factors that you can't really control, things that are determined by the market, right? What is the interest rate that your lender is going to offer you? What's the market price of tokens? What's the cost of your hardware? Mostly out of your control. You also have things that are determined by the protocol, right? So if you want to perform any action on the network, there is a cost, and that cost is determined by the protocol. So we don't have direct access or control over these, but you can influence it by joining in the network governance through the FIP or Filecoin improvement proposal. And also, there are certain ways that, for example, you can onboard your storage, so you can make some design decisions on how and when you enter the storage economy. So these things you can mitigate to some extent by being very familiar with the network. So the last things here are things that you have full discretion, right? You can decide which clients you work with. You can decide what kind of sectors that you want to commit to the network. Of course, you can determine your operating expenses, who you work with, how much it costs to maintain your hardware, and you can also negotiate fees with clients. So in short, the way to maximize your ROI is to control things that are fully within your control, and things that you have some control over, try to understand it as well as possible so that you can design your entries better. So here I just want to offer a teaser. So there's just an alternative way for you to get more flexibility with your financing. So we are planning to introduce a new product called Perpetual Pledge Swap. So as I mentioned earlier, right, when you onboard a sector onto the network, you actually have to hold a substantial amount of collateral with the network, and you only get this back when at the end, once your sector expires. So what Perpetual Pledge Swap does is that we allow you to swap this locked pledge into liquid FIL at a rate that's determined by the market. So we think that this is much more efficient and economical than directly borrowing from a lender, because this collateral is always there, right? It's definitely more stable and secure than mining rewards, which can be fairly volatile. So if you are interested in this, please come to our talk on Thursday, 1:30 p.m. at Fairmont Room. Or if you would like to reach out to understand more about how you can get some financing through this mechanism, please you can contact us by Telegram or can just speak to us. So, okay, I will just go through quickly, right? So just to introduce quickly the main products that Starboard carries. So our flagship product is a network health dashboard, right? As I mentioned, if you want to really understand how to best optimize your operations in the SP, you will really have to understand the network as well as possible. So Starboard actually carries this network health dashboard. It has a lot of rich information which can be relevant for storage providers, such as how much rewards you are getting, how much it costs to onboard the sector, and so on. We also have a FVM Explorer. So the FVM is actually a runtime environment for smart contracts. So for SPs, maybe the most obvious application is to have access to liquid staking providers who can give you financing for your operations. So please check it out. And you can also have a look at our DeFi leaderboard to kind of have a look at which are the major lenders in the decentralized finance ecosystem. We also have some kind of user-specific tooling. So I'm not going to go into these, but you can kind of have a look at how the FIL Plus ecosystem works, how do clients interact and interface with SPs. We also have deep dives into particular research topics in these observable HQ notebooks. Last thing we have is actually an API service. So you may need to have like composable network intelligence, that you might be able to hook on to live data to kind of inform your calculations or tools. So our API service is has served over like 10 million API calls from 50 different ecosystems teams. So it's at spacescope.io. And last but not least, we also offer some like bespoke analytics services. So of course, when we are here at DSPA, we are very keen to hear from SPs, what your analytics needs might be, how we can help you to better operate and to understand the financing of storage provision in the network. So yeah, with that, thanks a lot to everyone for coming to our talk, and our addresses are here to have a look at our products. And yeah, if you have any questions, please reach out to us in person or drop us a mail. Thanks.